A very accurate description of the motherland right now is a country in a total mess. Now I believe we all know that when a place is in a total mess, when nothing is working, when everything is going wrong, when there's chaos all over the place, we all know that that situation will not last for very long. Okay? It cannot be maintained. Messes cannot be maintained. And sooner or later, it will all come crashing down. Starting with something that has really angered Kenyans, but something that the ODM party and its leader are still insisting on, and that is defending what cannot be defended: the UDA regime. And we all know that the mess we are in was caused by UDA. Okay? So how can you defend Ruto's regime and his UDA? How? But to put it in the words of a fellow analyst I was talking to shortly before I came in to make this recording, he told me, and I laughed, inaonekana Raila ameamua ni yeye na Ruto mpaka dakika ya mwisho. You know, it is not only Kenyans who are puzzled. Many analysts are also very puzzled. And I'll tell you why. The ODM party is not perfect. But one thing the ODM party has maintained right from inception is that they have tried very hard to stick to their core beliefs and principles: good governance, human rights, etc., etc. And so the simple question is this: how is the Raila-Ruto MOU going to survive with the character of the Ruto regime? How? Let me give you a few quick examples. It has now been reported that popular activist and blogger Dr. Mumbi Seraki is missing. Now in Kenya, these days, when somebody goes missing, the first thought that comes to your mind is what? Abduction. And therefore there are many Kenyans who are suspecting that she has been abducted. Okay, granted. People can go missing online for various reasons. Maybe a personal reason. Maybe they're traveling. There are so many reasons. However, in the environment created by Ruto's UDA in Kenya, when people go missing these days, everybody just thinks the worst. Everybody just thinks abduction. And can you blame Kenyans? Really? Can you blame them? Okay? And so assuming that it is indeed true, we don't know, it is not confirmed. And in any case, when people are abducted, it is not like the government comes forward and confirms, we have abducted so and so. Never ever. Kwendangi hivyo. And so assuming that it is indeed true that Dr. Mumbi Seraki has been abducted, then already that is a huge breach of the MOU contract between Raila's ODM and Ruto's UDA. And so the simple question is as follows: will Raila and his troops just sit there pretending everything is okay, pretending that they don't know that a blogger is missing, pretending that everything is A-okay, tuendelee, and continuing to defend the Ruto regime? Is that how ODM are going to react and respond to this current situation? You tell me. And there are many other examples of things which are happening in Kenya which are not ODM. Yeah, like them or hate them. They have some consistency over certain issues. And those things are not ODM. In fact, the remaining face of ODM, I'm sorry to say, seems to be only Edwin Sifuna and a few others. Maybe Babu Owino as well, but they can be counted. There are so few. Otherwise, this party is showing a very different face. It is unrecognizable. And so, coming back to what we started with, how long can this MOU survive in that atmosphere? And I dare add, Nabado. Because you know, a leopard cannot change its spots, can it? A lion cannot wake up one morning and it is suddenly a hyena. It doesn't happen like that. Yeah, and therefore we know UDA. We know President Ruto. And therefore the burning question that supporters of Raila have been asking all along. Baba, what are you really up to? What is going on? Is this really you, the Raila Odinga we know? Or is this somebody else pretending to be Raila? That question will continue to linger. In other news, it is still not clear what the current fate of a young Kenyan lady, Margaret Nduta, who was arrested in Vietnam, in fact in the year 2023. Her legal process in that country has been ongoing all this time. Yeah? And she was supposed to face execution by lethal injection. It is still not clear whether efforts by Kenyans have borne fruit or not. Okay? And it is super fascinating here that the effort that seems to have borne most fruit is not from the current government. Retired President Uhuru Kenyatta appears to have a very good and close relationship with the President of Vietnam. Yeah, and he stepped in and made a call. And it is widely believed it was the call from Kenya's fourth president that stopped the scheduled execution of this Kenyan. Now, that should not be strange to those who have been following Kenyan politics in recent times, because it is always expected that the government machinery, the government of Kenya, the government of the Republic of Kenya machinery, has to be much more efficient, much more powerful, much more effective even than a retired president. However, I believe it is not a secret that our foreign policy, hakuna, we don't have a foreign policy, unless somebody educates me, because we have been doing things in a very haphazard manner. Okay? Right now, Kenyan exports to Sudan are banned. And we're talking about over 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings. Poof! Lost. Why? Because we decided to take sides. In fact, to the rebels in the ongoing civil war in Sudan. And the government of Sudan, the military government of Sudan, has responded, and it has banned with immediate effect all imports from Kenya. Pop! Immediately. And you know what our biggest export to Sudan is? It's tea. The perfect example of consequences from foreign policy or lack of it, which impacts our economy immediately. Yeah, that's a good example. Anyway, what I was saying is that this haphazard manner in which we have been handling our foreign policy has yielded a situation that is there for all Kenyans to see very clearly. Even people who don't understand what foreign policy is and what the foreign policy of a country should look like. Everybody is seeing, even those who don't understand that. Because I am reliably informed, efforts by the Kenyan government have come to naught. Indeed, the unconfirmed reports that a senior member of the Vietnamese government refused to take a call from State House. And in sharp contrast, an individual, okay, granted a previous president, but an individual Kenyan picks up the phone and pop, something happens. Don't you see with me that there's something very seriously wrong right there? Hey! Now, while still on the case of Margaret Nduta, you know, in Kenya we seem to have a very dangerous, deadly, bad disease. And this should be of great concern, especially for those of us who are still bringing up young children. Because it would seem this thing of quick money is in the blood of Kenyans. Just approach any Kenyan, show him how they can make quick money for doing next to nothing. I remember very clearly my political lecturer used to call these shortcuts in life, and used to speak about them with so much disgust. Kenyans love shortcuts. Shortcuts to quick money for doing next to nothing. Just transport this package, arrive in a certain country, pop, I will give you 160,000 Kenya shillings. Now, you know, this is already very sad, because is 160,000 Kenya shillings the kind of money one would risk their lives for? Well, it would seem that in fact Kenyans can risk their lives for an amount much less than that, which is so sad. But the main issue here is, how did we bring up these young people of Kenya so that they have zero principles, so that they don't think twice before doing something so reckless? Yeah, even if it is quick money they're chasing, they don't think about their principles. They don't think about doing the right thing. It never crosses their minds to do something that will stand the test of time. Never ever. And so, I'm not saying that Margaret Nduta is guilty. No, I don't have that information. But I'm just saying her case highlights, because there are so many other young women who have been caught in various countries all over the world, and especially in these Southeast Asian countries where they have very strict laws. There are so many young Kenyans who have been caught and convicted and sentenced. Margaret Nduta is just the latest case. There are so many. But you see, this latest case is highlighting this thing which we are now demanding from our politicians. We do not want our politicians to take shortcuts. We do not want them to be corrupt, to make money quick. But then, we ourselves, hey, we're exactly what we don't want our politicians to be. In other words, we're telling our politicians, you do what we tell you, politicians, not what we, the people of Kenya, do. Yeah, just do what we're telling you. Don't follow what we ourselves are doing. Now, how can that work? Because those politicians come from amongst us. Those politicians are Kenyans. And the way Kenyans think, here on the ground, ordinary Kenyans who will be politicians tomorrow, is exactly the same way as the politicians are thinking and doing, now that we've given them power in elective office. In that kind of environment, how will the country called Kenya be saved? How? Oh, Almighty God, help us. Now, very quickly before I go, just a quick reminder. This is the last call on our latest special report titled The Next President of Kenya, or The Next Presidents of Kenya, within a short period of 6 months. It's a very detailed special report which analyzes our current political situation and what will most likely unfold in our country very soon. Indeed, in a matter of weeks. You can see details on your screens right now. 4 Kenya shillings 3,999. You can have it in your inbox, pop, as well as all other previous special reports. Yeah, so that in case you missed any, you'll have all of them. Please take action quickly. This offer is coming to a close. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.